I just read the 2 latest chapters of Assassination Classroom, and my god, sadness. So much fucking sadness. Just to find out next week is the final chapter. The final chapter of Assassination Classroom is next week. That makes me sad. That really makes me sad. Just to see how it really is coming to an end. Koro-sensei is really dead, and it's really hard for me to wrap my mind around that. It is. I mean, as I said in the last video I made, Koro-sensei's death and stuff, and I was talking about there is a possibility he might come back. There could be a way. But seeing how the mangaka is keeping him dead, especially with allowing these last few chapters kind of in a way to allow us to move on, like accept Koro-sensei's death, it's well done. It's definitely well done, and you could definitely tell that the mangaka has been planning for this ending for a long time, the way it's written, especially with all this time we have between, like, you know, Koro-sensei's death and then the setup for the epilogue. Like, all this epilogue we've been getting, it's definitely something I really appreciate. And seeing how we're getting all this, you know, backstory, or getting to find out more about what happened to our characters in the future, like a 7-year time skip, it just allows me to say, I'm glad I read this series, and I'm glad I'm caught up, and I'm glad the series is probably getting to end in the way that the mangaka envisioned when they first started. Because there's probably not many writers out there when they get a big series, like Assassination Classroom, you can say what you want, it is a pretty damn big series. Maybe not the biggest, but it's a big series in Japan. And to see how the mangaka is being able to end the series like he wants, without having to extend it for hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of chapters, it makes me happy to see that, because I probably think that the mangaka already had it all written out on paper, wanted to do what he wanted to do, and had the ending already in sight when he started. And seeing this, it makes me happy. I mean, these last 2 chapters was like just about moving on from Koro-sensei's death and learning to pick up what you have and carry on with your life and become stronger. Seeing E-Class move from the school and finally graduate, like the last chapter I didn't review, the graduation album, when they were going through it and Koro-sensei was giving life tips, talking to him about everything and all that, it was like he was there still with them. He was still teaching them after death, and that's a true teacher right there. That is a really true teacher and a good person. Seeing how he was teaching them after death, even long after he's gone, and he has this giant-ass album he written when he was, you know, about to be killed, it hits my heart. But then, when you see the latest chapter with the time skip, 7 years have passed, and you see where the moon is crumbling, and it's getting closer in orbit, and then everything is going to stabilize and come back together again, it just makes you realize the time that they spent with Koro-sensei is pretty much over. Even the distant memories of the moon being destroyed, it's pretty much gone. And it's crazy when you think about it like that. I mean, we got a lot of good information about many characters in this latest chapter. Like, you know, we get to find out what happened to the principal. We get to find out with, like, every character pretty much of E-Class we get to see. And the only characters that really were missing from this chapter was Nagisa and Karma. And that's something that needs to be dived into with the final chapter, which I'm going to assume is going to happen, because we have one more chapter. Nagisa is one of the main MCs of the series, so for Nagisa to be in the final chapter makes a lot of sense. And what would be a beautiful way, what I could already envision for the final chapter, what I would love to see, I'm not saying it has to be done, but what I would personally like is if, like, one of the final pages, or maybe when the chapter begins next week, the final chapter, we see Nagisa taking upon the role of being a teacher, because they were talking in this latest chapter, like, this building needs to be put to good use. Like, they're doing different activities and stuff, training and stuff, but it's not really being put to good use. And, I mean, it's already been discussed before in the past. I've mentioned it in my manga chapter reviews of Assassination Classroom, that there is a very good possibility that, you know, Nagisa, since he did talk about Koro-sensei about what he wanted to do, there's a possibility he might take up the role of being the next teacher for E-Class. And seeing how this building will be used, I can see that happening. I can see Nagisa becoming and replacing Koro-sensei and carrying on his will, his legacy. And if that really happens, that is a powerful fucking scene. If that really happens. Like, if he walks in next chapter, and then you see that shit, he has, like, a teacher outfit and shit, I could honestly see him wearing Koro-sensei's outfit. Just imagine if Nagisa walks into a classroom, like he has a bunch of kids he's about to teach, and you see him wearing Koro-sensei's outfit with a moon symbol, like, tie. Oh, God, dude. That'd be sad. That'd be fucking sad. So, these latest 2 chapters are quality stuff. Very quality stuff, along with the way it's written. The epilogue is definitely adding more to that emotions, and it's definitely giving good closure to the series, because this isn't a rushed closure. Like, usually sometimes when a series ends, the ending is just wrapped up in 1 chapter, maybe 1 or 2 chapters, and I know there's many out there when they look at an ending. I've said it quite a few times, when you look at an ending, that will make or break a series for you. It'll determine if you will love that series for a long time, or if you'll forget about it because it just pissed you off or didn't give you the answers you wanted. And seeing how we have all this room, all this stuff that's being clarified, I'm already very satisfied. Like, I'm going to say this right now, the last chapter, not this one that just came out, like, technically yesterday, or early this morning, not this chapter, but the chapter last week, that was a perfect fucking chapter to end the series on. I'm not even joking. Like, that was a glorious chapter. If that series would have ended there, if that would have been the final chapter, I would have been fine. I would have been straight up fucking fine, because it was such a good chapter with such good closure, with them moving on from E-Class, graduating, and then saying kind of like their farewells to Coral Sensei. That was a beautiful chapter. That could have easily have been the final chapter. But I love how the mangaka has decided to take the extra steps to give more closure. Give us a time skip. Give us what happens to E-Class, the different students, and other students, too, from A-Class, vice versa. And to see, like, the stuff what's going on with Kurosima and Bitch Sensei, that was a very sweet moment. I love that romantic moment with them getting together and all that type of stuff. So, yeah, chapters, 10 out of 10, in my opinion. Definitely, 10 out of 10. And honestly, it's going to be hard to beat these latest chapters with the finale, but I know the mangaka can probably do it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. You have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.